Hello and welcome to Bread of Life. Our speaker for this week is Pastor Doug Van Veldhuisen of Cromwell.
We're looking at Genesis chapter 3, looking at the fall of man, and trying to come to a better understanding of the idea that we have been given free will and what that means and how that's to be played out in our lives. But we're also trying to understand it. It says the serpent was crafty. He was crafty. Why is it that he knew that the moment we were told not to touch something, that we would? You don't believe me? Next time you're walking by a bench or a wall or a post or something that says fresh paint, do not touch. What's your natural reaction? Well, it usually is we reach out and we just kind of touch it to see if it's true. Kind of touch it to see if what it says there is really the truth. Or maybe we just do it out of complete defiance. But I think for Eve, when she, it says, reached out and took it, that for her, there had been a challenge about who God was and his authority. There had been a challenge about how she had been created. And when that challenge was given, it says that she reached out and she took it. But before she did that, she went through a process. And I want us to look at this process because when we have the choice and we have free will, this process really takes place in each and every one of us, in our daily lives, in our daily decisions. For it says in verse 6 of chapter 3, when the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food, was pleasing to the eye, and desirable for gaining wisdom. Three things there that I want to look at real quick. First, she saw the tree was good for food. In other words, up until that point, she really hadn't looked at it. She had been given everything that she needed. She was fine with what she had. She was content with what was before her. She had no need to go to that one place. And it wasn't until her eyes were drawn to it that all of a sudden temptation began to come in. You know, very often temptation in certain things is never a problem. But when it was pointed out, that's when the problems began. When she looked upon it and saw that it was good for food. Now, think about it, good for food. It was something that would feed her. It wasn't that it was, oh, look what I'm going to do, look what I'm going to know, look what I'm going to accomplish. It was just something that would fill her belly. But that opened the gate. We have to be aware that when we begin to even entertain the thoughts of doing things that are not of God, that we are opening a door. And that's all Satan needs. He just needs a little crack in the door, and he begins to put his foot there and wedge his way in. So she looked upon it and said, ooh, this is good. And then for food, and then when she saw it, and that it was pleasing to the eye. Wow. Hey, man, it makes me desire it. You know, there's something about it. Doesn't it say that sin is pleasurable for a season? You know, if sin wasn't fun, we wouldn't do it. If sin wasn't something that could be enjoyed for a season, for a time, we wouldn't even bother with it. But she saw that it was pleasing to the eye, and you know what? All of a sudden she heard the words of Satan ringing through her inner mind. And it will give you the ability to know good and evil, and you will be like God. Whoa, there is the problem. You see, it looked pleasing, it looked desirable, but then it was the words, you will be like God and you will know. And it's at that point, it says, that trouble entered. Think about the temptations in your life. How do you overcome them? How do they start? Look at the process. And we'll continue looking at this the next time we're together.
You've been listening to Pastor Doug Van Veldhuisen of Cromwell, and this has been Bread of Life, a program to encourage you from God's Word.